Thank you for your interest in the EcoPro cart. This video is going to be training on how to hook up and flush a mold. My name is Brian Whitaker with the ID Additives team, and I am our tech manager for our EcoPro 360 line. So I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. That way companies that want to watch this can get a quick hands-on on how to plug and play. So with that being said, I'll dive right in. We've got our chemical in the drum on the front. One of the first things you're going to want to do is there's a pressure release valve on the side with a lance. Just go ahead and put that in your drum. On the back of the cart are a supply and return lance. Comes like that. This is your supply side. Go ahead and toss that into the drum. Your return side. That's going to go into the other side of the drum. You've got, now on my cart here, this is a demo cart, so I've cut the lines down. Your cart will come standard with 25 foot of line, and that's if you want to reach a heat exchanger or something that maybe you're not able to wheel this cart directly up to. So you do want to make sure that whatever it is that you're flushing, that all the water is out as best as you can. Water breaks down the EcoPro chemical, so we want to try to get eliminate as much of that as possible. So in this scenario, I've already flushed out this mold. Hook up my return side. Now on this mold, and you can do this for your molds once you've really cleaned them out, but you're able to jump the lines if you would like. Depending upon how bad your tools are, you may need to focus on one or two individual circuits for the first flushing, and then your secondary or tertiary flushings, you can jump the whole mold. So next I'm going to hook up my supply side. Make sure all those are on there secure. You'll notice two air supply valves on the back. One is blowout air, the other is pump air. There's a valve on top, a check valve. One says pump, one says blowout. They correspond to blowout, blowout air, pump, pump air. You won't be able to operate the cart unless that valve corresponds to whatever air supply that you're hooked up to. That's to protect the internal components of the pump. That way you don't damage it. Your cart will come with a filter on it. It is important to note that if it's your first time using the cart, the filter will have a cellophane wrapper on it. You'll need to remove that in order to operate the cart. Comes with a wrench. We are simply going to place that in there. My grommet came off. And if you let it balance on its own, it will center itself when you plug into the filter housing unit. And we're going to turn it counterclockwise to tighten it. This is probably the most common area for leaks that I get calls from current customers, and it's simply because they didn't tighten it too much. Also, while I'm down here, I want to make note of this, the bypass on the filter. Currently, this knob is bypassing it. Right on the front of your filter housing unit, it should say bypass, and then on each of these sides up here at the top, it'll say filter. So when that swivel is turned and is congruent with both of these lines, you know that you're running through the filter. When you want to bypass, that will be after we're done flushing, and maybe you're using this cart to back flush with water. You know, obviously this canister will be filled with EcoPro. You don't want to introduce water. That's why we would bypass. It is important to note that this only turns 90 degrees from the position that it's at currently in the bypass to where it's filtered. This is the second most common complaint that I get from users, is that they will continue to turn this clockwise and snap that fitting off. It is rather easy to do if you apply a considerable amount of pressure. So just be wary of that. So I'm going to leave this as filtered. I'm going to find my air supply. Again, this mold has been flushed out with water. I'm going to hook up to my pump air side, turn my valve to pump, and simply turn it on. I'm not going to turn it up all the way because I'm wanting to watch as the chemical's up here that I don't have any leaks at my connection sites or even within the tool. The whole goal here is to recapture, filter, and reuse the chemical. So now that I can see that it's returned, I don't have leaks. It should be filling up my canister there, or my filter, at which point, once it's done there, it's hitting my return and back into the drum. Now, dependent upon, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it up just a little bit. Again, you don't need to go full bore. You would need to do that if you have some larger tools. This is a relatively smaller tool. It's probably a 10 by. You would need to increase the pressure, obviously, if you've got some larger tools or perhaps you're jumping 10, 20 circuits, what have you. But other than that, there's no real need to run this wide open. So depending upon how bad your lines are, you may need to flush for 2 hours, or in some instances, I've had some tools that I've done demos at where they were, I hate to say it, 25, 30 years old, and they were just in very terrible condition. And those took about 8 hours to flush. Now, with that, those are your initial cleanings. Those will take a little bit longer. The next time you go to PM this tool, you can hook up to everything. It should take you an average of an hour. Some users have reported about 2 hours to flush out the entire mold. Now, there are a couple tools that you can use to help identify how bad your cooling passages are. One is an endoscopic camera. This allows a visual representation. Another is to get yourself a flow meter. You can measure GPMs with that. If you have a water station, I would recommend hooking that up to that. That way you have a steady flow of water versus, you can use the pump to do it. However, the cavitation of the pump is going to make the pressure jump anywhere from 2 to 4 pounds, and you won't be able to dial in exactly where you want. So just a couple tools that I travel with and highly recommend. So with that said, I'm going to presume that an hour has passed here and that we're ready to shut everything down. All I do when I'm done flushing is I lift up my supply lance. That way there's no longer chemical running through. You can hear it start to slow down. Shut off my supply. Swap my air valve over to blowout air. Turn the check valve to blowout. Now, on the front of the drum, I didn't show you earlier, but I don't have my tight head fittings bored out. A lot of companies opt to do this. I would recommend it. I don't know how well you can see that, but it is threaded here. There's a little knockout right there. You can knock that out. The lance can go, you can thread it into this tight head fitting. That way these lances are secure. But again, this is a demo cart, so I'm constantly moving lances in and out. Point being, if I tell you that, when I'm telling you that, if I were to open up this blowout air valve all the way, the air pocket's going to go through everything. The lance might pop a little bit. So if you opt not to use the tight head fittings, I simply recommend that you place your hand on the lance until that air pocket comes through. And you'll see what I mean here in just a second. I'll turn the cart just a little bit so you can see. So I'm going to slowly turn on that valve. I'm going to watch that chemical flush through here. And we want that first air pocket. You can see it right there. Hopefully you can. Return to the drum. Now I know that that air pocket has surged through the system. I can turn this up just a little bit more and really flush as much chemical out of the tool or heat exchanger or portable chiller, whatever it is that you're currently flushing out. And you should be able to, if I turn it up considerably. Oh, it's already done it. I apologize for not pointing out. It's already drained my filter. So that's how we get all of the chemical out of the filter. Once we're done there, we know we flushed out here. Now this is the next step in the process where if you're back flushing with the cart, you would simply swap out the drum with another drum of water, go through the same process. You're gonna wanna back flush with water for at least 10 minutes, maybe 15. But again, before doing that, you wanna bypass this filter housing unit. So another common area that another common report, excuse me, that I get from some of my current customers is that the pump will cease operation. The pump is designed to shut down when it reaches 10, when it senses 10 pounds less than your current air supply. So right now I have 100 pounds of air on my line. If it senses 90 pounds of pressure, whether that's a blockage in the tool or the filter, which I'll get into next, that pump is simply going to stop operating. So the first thing that you want to do, it's most likely your filter. So if the filter is spent, it will act as a pressure block. It'll sense through the entire system and it'll shut off. So you bypass it, and again, use the wrench, turn it off, swap out your filter. Common question is, how long do filters last? Depends on how bad your water is. I've had some filters last as little as 2 weeks, again, going back to those 25-year-old tools. But I have numerous customers that only buy 2 filters a year. So the key being that you want to filter it out, that way you can reuse the chemical. So with that, that's how you use the EcoPro cart. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. You can find all of our detailed information on idadditives.com. There are more videos on YouTube. If you would hit the subscribe button, that would help us reach a larger audience. We do offer lunch and learns, so if you or anyone within your company want to see a live demonstration, we're happy to host that as well, especially during these times we're doing virtual demonstrations to keep everybody safe. And with that being said, again, I'm Brian Whitaker with ID Additives. Thanks for watching.